False Creek, at the heart of what is now called Vancouver. This waterway has been a gathering place for thousands of years. Before colonialization, this was a rich ecosystem that sustained the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. At the turn of the last century, False Creek was taken over by industry, and later residential development. Host nations were driven out. Over the last 50 years, industry largely disappeared as False Creek transformed again into a thriving, busy area loved by residents and visitors alike. Host nations' presence and voices are returning, helping reimagine False Creek's future as we enter another chapter of its ongoing transformation. Climate change is driving up sea levels by about 1 meter over the next 60 to 80 years, or 2 or more over the longer term. For False Creek, the effects of sea level rise will be dramatic. That's why the City of Vancouver, together with knowledge keepers and cultural advisors from the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, undertook an innovative project to imagine a new vision to restore and decolonize this vital waterway.
If we don't do anything, we're going to face the increased risk of flood damages, which is happening all over our region and all over the world. And so going with more comprehensive approaches that bring together engineering and nature-based solutions and people and culture is the path forward.
We cannot keep water out indefinitely. It's not good business financially, it's not good business structurally, but it's also not good business socially or environmentally.
We've known about climate change happening for over 4 decades, and finally it's no longer a theoretical construct, but we're feeling it, we're experiencing it. There's a kind of change happening, and this project is one of the first steps to put this change into action.
The Sea2City Design Challenge is an opportunity to rethink the future of False Creek's shoreline by bringing together 2 multi-disciplinary teams over a 12-month period to reimagine 4 sites along the shoreline. Sea2City was organized around collaboratoriums that brought together design teams, city staff, technical experts, cultural advisors, and youth to look deep into the future of False Creek and create a shared vision and pathway to take us there. Alongside the collaboratoriums were a series of public outreach and learning events. The final round of engagement included a 1-day inter-team design charrette for a city-owned site.
It's been a real learning process for us in how we begin to shift our values in thinking about our relationship to the land and water. We need to ask more about what we can do for the land and the water for it to be able to benefit ourselves, right? So there's a reciprocity there that we're beginning to learn through the wisdom of First Nations who've lived on this land since time immemorial.
What's beautiful about Sea2City is it tries to acknowledge all the pressures we're facing. It's not heavy-handed in saying flooding is the only thing to fix. Well, we've got a shoreline that's the result of colonial history, right? It's bringing that up to center as well.
In some ways, the future imagined by Sea2City may look more like the past. Towering cedar trees, berry bushes, shellfish gardens, fish, birds and animals drawn home by restored habitats and clean waters. But also human infrastructure and housing reimagined to work with nature and an always changing shoreline.
It's trying to push that boundary of what people are willing to sort of think about for the future, that the future is not as it is today, but it will be something different.
What is unique about Sea2City is that the city is actually being very proactive and is having these tough conversations ahead of having the day-to-day stress of the basically environmental stressors.
Sea2City was organized as a challenge, not a competition. It recognized that coastal adaptation is a generational project that must involve a range of knowledge, expertise, and experience. The project embraced a collaborative approach that welcomed youth, artists, and community members to look deep into the future of False Creek and co-create a positive vision of what it could be.
We're very close to deploying some pilot projects that really we will be thinking about these as stepping stones with their origin from this particular design process. And this is a project that is going to last for more than 100 years.
Sea2City was grounded in a commitment to decolonization. It involved host nation knowledge keepers, cultural advisors, and artists as key members of the design teams. Their stories and guidance helped shift the language and approach to coastal adaptation. This reframing was one of the most significant outcomes of Sea2City and will help ensure that Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people will be active partners in the transformation of False Creek.
There are totem poles and nookshuks in the area, kind of celebrating other cultures in Coast Salish territory. Totem poles aren't a cultural representative of Coast Salish people, and nookshuks aren't either. You know, kind of sharing a lot of that perspective, that knowledge to the team kind of helps them understand to whom they're intended to work with as far as bringing culture to their projects.
The Salish Sea will rise and False Creek will transform, but the area will remain vibrant. The naturalized shoreline will be a healthy place for people to connect with the water, and the restored habitat areas will provide homes for many species. Following the pathway outlined in Sea2City, the False Creek shoreline will accommodate higher waters. Buildings will change and be safe during the occasional flooding that will be a part of life along Vancouver's coastline. Sea2City is one project, but it offers positive and powerful lessons for other neighborhoods in Vancouver and coastal communities across BC, Canada, and beyond. We see this as the beginning of our journey as Vancouver continues to learn and prepare for the future, and as we celebrate the ever-changing nature of our shorelines and the communities that call them home.